r/ask Reddit. What is something socially accepted if done by a man, but not if done by a woman? Not wearing a shirt. This used to piss me off so much when I was prepubescent, playing out in the summer with my friend, who was a boy, and he was shirtless. And we went around all over and I got really warm, so I took off my t-shirt. Our torsos looked identical, but strangers came up to me and asked me to cover up and let him be shirtless in the heat, because apparently prepubescent girl nipples must be hidden. I was 7, and I was pissed. My sister has psoriasis, and so my mom would sometimes send her out to play in the backyard with her shirt off because UV can help clear it up. Then one day she looked out to check on her and she was gone. Turns out she decided to take a bike ride up and down the street, still shirtless. She didn't exactly get in trouble for it, but my mom did have to explain that no shirt time can only happen in the backyard. Letting others know how bad you have to take a shit. Conversely, girls will mention every time they have to pee. We live in a weird society. I think it's because we are making sure everyone knows we're not pooping, just peeing. Body hair. I wish it wasn't considered weird for a man to shave his pits, or I would. That hair holds some kind of mythical stench power. Just do it. I do. And so do a bunch of other guys. Trust me, you're more hung up on it than anyone else is going to be, if they even notice at all. Not engaging in childcare. Apparently my husband deserves a medal according to strangers for parenting. Women have thrown themselves at him assuming he was single. People have assumed I was a deadbeat. People have called parenting his own child babysitting. That shit makes him so livid. Edit. Thank you for my first gold. Kind stranger. Keep on being the best parents you can be. Ladies, gents, and everything in between. Even if you feel that means having your spouse ex-pet llama bring up the slack because you're not currently in the right place to give them the love that they need. Or if you're afraid to do too much of the work because people are sexist jerks. Just support and love your kids to the absolute best of your ability. Now go get babysitting. I am that dad. A surprising amount of people assume my wife died. Others think I'm only doing it for the brownie points. A lot of guys think I'm being taken advantage of by my wife. It's ridiculous. Oh, you're here shopping with your girls by yourself? Sorry to pry, but what happened to mom? Huh? A show is on. Being taller than my ass. Oh. He is 161 centimeters tall and has an amazing personality. He is 3 years older than me. I get dirty looks for holding his hand in public and people called me out as his mom or a weirdo just because I am 185. I ducking hate it. 185 is pretty old. You think that's old? The guy is 188. Growing a handlebar mustache. I'm glad that goatees are finally accepted by all. We'll get the handlebar style next. If a man can tend his stubble till it sets into a stash, then I hardly see the trouble of a lady's lip panache. I could get a little hairy. I could grow a little beard if it wasn't seen as scary, and it wouldn't be so weird. But this world is cold and careless, and I've sadly come to know I am doomed to walk it hairless, and I wish it wasn't so, peeing behind a bush or in a urinal. I must say, people usually don't like when anyone pees behind a urinal. Edit. My most upvoted comment and the original comment was changed, so now I look like a fool. Being taller. Had 2 girlfriends who were taller than me. Holy shit. I never heard the end of it. Edit. Probably should have mentioned that I didn't have 2 at the same time. There were long gaps in between. Shit, my ex-GF wasn't even actually taller than me, she was just approximately the same height, and I heard about it fairly often. I mean, WTF, why would that possibly matter to me? I just do not get it. Work in manual labor. I know a handful of lady bricklayers, just as experienced and good at their jobs as their dude co-workers, but they get so much shit for it both on and off the job. This used to happen to me all the time when I worked with my dad, who owns a tree trimming business. One time I was using a pole saw to cut down some branches when this elderly man walked out and said he didn't feel comfortable with a young lady using that type of equipment. My dad told him I was more than capable and to politely mind his own business. We weren't even cutting his trees. Edit. I'd like to add that it wasn't just the elderly with the more outdated views that would give me trouble. When my dad hired new workers, they were either overly nice about it, suggesting they do more of the strenuous stuff, aerial lift, wood chipper, chainsaw, etc. Or they were super dongs about it, saying that they didn't want to work with a woman because they felt they were going to have to pick up the slack. Yep, they would say that shit right in front of me. Our regular workers would stay in their lane because they knew I put in just as much work as everyone else, if not more at times. Customers would constantly comment on how well I worked, how strong I was, etc. Not saying I didn't appreciate the praise, they just complimented me, the only woman on the job, and no one else. Customers weren't usually as intrusive as the story with the elderly man mentioned above, but they would comment on how I was doing dangerous work and how I should be careful. They never were that concerned with what the guys were doing. The point I'm trying to prove is that I was 100% treated differently for being a chick. I worked for a guy that owns a home maintenance renovation business. His daughter was in college and worked with us in the summer when she was off school. Now when this girl wants to get all done up, she is absolutely gorgeous, even in work clothes, shorts, jeans and a shirt. She was a looker. I had worked with her for a while already and we became pretty good friends. This girl worked harder than most of the guys that worked with us. She was total beast, but because she was a small to medium attractive woman, she got a lot of shit from newer guys that worked with us. Same stuff you described. My absolute favorite instance of someone unfairly judging and trying to demean her was when we're doing a huge mulch job. Midsummer, hot as hell, slinging 40-pound bags of mulch all day. She and I pull up to the job site with a trailer load of mulch where 2 other guys are working already. I hop out, tell them we have to unload it. One newer guy comes over and says, "Hey man, I can't unload the mulch. I have a bad back." Trying not to say "then why are you here?" I just say okay. At this point, previously mentioned lady comes over and slings 2 bags of mulch, 80 pounds, over her shoulder. He looks at her and sincerely says, "Oh, do you need help with that?" As if he was worried about her. She looks him in the eyes and says, "No, I'm not a kitten, I can handle it," and walks off. Needless to say, he ended up helping unload the trailer. Having a stay-at-home spouse. Stay-at-home moms definitely deal with getting the snide side eye from other women. I can only imagine how much it sucks for stay-at-home dads. They're almost always regarded as lazy deadbeats that don't deserve their kid's or spouse. Take welding classes. Apparently, I was the only girl in high school in the class, and by the 3rd day the rumors flying around about me were horrendous. I was apparently only taking the class so I could sleep with every guy in there. The teacher begged me not to quit when I talked to him about it. He'd had 4 girls take the class in 10 years and all of them had quit because of the rumors. Or you're simultaneously sleeping with all the guys and a lesbian. Welcome to the world of being a female cop. I was accused of sleeping with men to get the job, to keep the job, to get promoted, you name it. I actually reported my first field training officer just 3 days into my job because the ass clown repeatedly asked, in front of others, how long I'd been ducking the recruiter in order to get hired. It was infuriating and it's utter bullshit to put up with, because the moment you complain, you're one of those beaches that everyone has to tiptoe around. I transferred to a different district where I was very happy. Fortunately, to this day, I still hate the guy and hope he got fired from law enforcement. He was a total douche. Edited to fix typo. Really late, but it bugs me so here, being smarter than another man. I work as a technology expert at Office Depot, an office supply computer retailer. My fellow expert is a girl, same age as me. We have both built computers, taken classes, and are avid gamers. She knows more than I do in some areas, and vice versa. An unbelievable amount of customers will blow her off to talk to me, or will ask me to verify what she has already told them. Sometimes she'll even tell them, "I can help you, I'm a tech expert here," and they'll say, "It's alright, I wanna talk to that guy." Almost exclusively, this happens with men or women who are with their husbands. It's like it's taboo for a woman to be smarter than a man, and it really pisses me off. I'll straight up tell customers, "You should ask her. She knows more than I do," when they do it. Edit. This is now my highest rated comment. Thanks Reddit. Edit 2. I know it's cliche, but now I know what people mean by rippin' box. Also, gold. Thank you. Stranger. Guests see the home theater I set up and assume my husband did it. I'm like, he only knows what remote goes with what because I told him. Reading this made me realize I totally associate home theaters with men. Which is pretty odd considering I am a woman who would one day like my own media movie game room. In an office situation that is predominantly male, I'll hear lewd jokes day in and day out, each guy outdoing each other in grossness for the sake of humor. It doesn't bother me at all. But then I jump in and suddenly it's you gross because I'm a female who said it. I am the only male in an office with 12 employees. The shit I hear. Try having a cube next to the restroom. You hear all kinds of shit. Propose marriage. I refuse to enforce this social norm. If my girlfriend wants to propose to me, she can damn well propose. Edit. Clarification. I'm all for the girl proposing, but I'd still be incredibly happy to do it myself. Hint hint. D. Casually liking sports or video games. God forbid a woman like football and not be able to list every stat from her supposed favorite team. Or else she's not a real fan. R/gatekeeping. You probably can't even name 5 examples of gatekeeping, dude. People like me who have been pointing out gatekeeping for years don't like it when casuals like you try to do it. Deciding not to get married or have kids. Additionally, the expected life after getting married and having kids is much different for each gender. I served in the military until my older 2 kids were 6 and 4. The first thing most women would ask me after finding out what I did for a living was, "Bro, how can you leave your kids?" I could never do that. The go-to response to dads was, "Thank you for your service." That was over 10 years ago and things seem to be improving a little in that regard. But working moms and stay-at-home dads still deal with some idiotic comments. Well, thank you for your service. Sterilization, especially before you're 40. But what if your husband wants kids down the road? Well then he wouldn't have had a vasectomy. Which, by the way, no one gave him shit for. Shit, my wife got herself tied up at 29. A few months before we started dating. She hates kids. And I don't want any. Her mom even drove her to the procedure. I believe her mom's quote was, "You'd be a terrible mother anyways." This wasn't said in a mean way, just honest. My wife agreed and they had a good laugh over it. Edit. If you live in California, they are legally not allowed to not perform the procedure if you ask. If you sign a waiver that you won't sue if you change your mind later. Turns out she just went to Kaiser. Also, there's a way less invasive way to do it. Instead of actually getting your tubes tied called Escher. Basically, they put a couple screw type things into your tubes and scar tissue grows around them. No surgery, and you're fine a few hours later. I want the name of her doctor. I have been trying to get mine tied for 20 years. I have multiple health issues, many genetic problems, and never wanted kids. Yet every doctor refuses to do the procedure because you will change your mind someday. Nobody cares if a man shaves his head, yet people find it odd that a woman shaves her head. Well, until recently people found it odd when a guy had long hair. It can still happen. Edit. Wow. My most upvoted comment is about dirty hippies. Edit 2. The dirty hippies thing is a joke. Sure. Most of history has guys with long hair though. It was just a small century thing with the short hair. Letting their hair turn grey. My aunt had her hair turn grey at 29. It was cool, plus I think this is becoming more respected, at least with the people I know. Salt and pepper is awesome. Being the breadwinner of the family. In many families the man and woman both have jobs. I know men that would be very uncomfortable if their partner made more money than them. This is especially the case when the male assumes a stay-at-home role. But I think people will have more beef with the man than the woman in this situation. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.